I'm Commander Shepard, and this is my favorite
podcast
on the Citadel.
You are listening to Accidentally Casual, an unnecessarily nerdy gaming podcast. My name is Minius of Minius GC, and with me is Tucker from Talking About Games.
I like to think that our nerdiness is a necessity.
It is when you're doing this. It's just the two of this week. We're going to try to have Scott on as much as we can. Scott's schedule is weird, so it may not work all the time, but in order to get him on more consistently, we're going to move up the podcast by one day, it looks like.
And we wanted to bring back that old podcast feeling where one person has scheduling issues that...
It makes it really hard to go.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's great. Well, I mean, I think the podcast is better if we can hit a consistent day, so we're going to try to do that. The podcast, if it comes out when it comes out, we're going to lose, I guess it is viewership. Because I can't get these on audio because I keep on getting distracted.
What does it do, or what do you need to do to...
Almost nothing. I have no excuses at this point.
You should do it then.
I have a reminder on my phone. It goes off like every couple days, and I ignore it.
I will send you reminders. I will be a good friend.
No.
And I will send you reminders.
First of all, we're not friends. We've been over this. You're just a guy.
Not yet. Soon.
Not yet. All right. Anyway.
I will Stockholm Syndrome you.
We had a 100-hour podcast last week where we didn't finish what we were trying to do. So we're gonna do that today.
Finish?
We didn't finish.
We ran like we did a speed run of it at the end.
Yeah, because we were already at like 70 minutes. I'm like, shit, I want to try to finish this, and we didn't come. Actually, we came kind of close. We were getting we had Mass Effect recommendations, so games that you would recommend to a Mass Effect fan. We've been over this, man. Mass Effect. A lot of people like Mass Effect for really, really different reasons.
Yeah, and that's part of what makes the recommendation thing difficult.
You're into it for the sci-fi aspect and the world creation, right?
Yeah, and I like the choices as well.
Yeah, and there's other people who are into the deeper RPG aspects of the original Mass Effect, and some people are into the more combat stuff and the more modern stuff. This is a difficult poll. We're doing this for fun. You don't really want to participate because you don't want to play into the games that are high on this list.
Well,
I recommend games that nobody's heard of. Really?
I play them.
I came up with the top contenders, and you're like, dude, I've only played one of those. The top contenders, the very, very top contenders, the ones that the most people say you should play if you like Mass Effect.
I mean, two things. I would need to define play as in length. Okay. And it's also, what is the list? Because I don't know what are the top contenders.
We're going to go over that. So right now we have a list of 64 different games. We're not going to rank them 1 from 64 on the podcast. That's too dull. I'm going to do that. And then we're going to put them into a tournament. There's going to be, it's a 5-round tournament. And there are 31 different polls that are going to make it up. And we're going to find out what the most recommended game to Mass Effect fans is. And I think everyone already knows what it is. We'll see if there's an upset somewhere.
We have a solid guess, which makes me kind of like vote against it. Like,
because you're going to become a hipster gamer. Like, I don't like popular games.
No, not hipster gamer. Just,
I'm declaring you a hipster gamer. You've been in Seattle for too long.
Well, yeah. But Babylon, being the mad lad that he is, he listed all of the games.
Who?
Babylon. Scott.
Oh, yeah. Scott sent us a handwritten note.
Yeah, it was adorable.
It was like, oh, God.
He handwrote it. He didn't even type it.
He just wrote a note on a piece of paper and then took a picture of it and sent it to us. So, like, shit, man.
See, Scott, this is what happens when you don't come on the podcast. We can talk shit.
I don't think we wait to talk shit. We have the people on for it.
That is true.
I mean, that's the best kind of shit talking because you're not being a little bitch about it. You're just getting into them. All right, so I've divided it into categories. We're going to try to seed like the top 16. And then we'll get in there and you'll say, dude, that game deserves to be higher on your list. And then I'll go around. So I have 7 contenders. I mean, we really think there's one game that's going to win it, but these are 7 that could potentially win it. based on their popularity and their number of recommendations.
Something I realized is the way that you ordered them is the contender way is the way that you expect them to win.
Yes.
I think a better way may have been to categorize them in genre or something like that.
I thought about that. It's uneven and becomes extremely difficult. So, yeah, you're right. That would be more interesting, but
we might want to have the same genres competing against each other.
So you want me to do 8 times as much work, and you just sit there and not know what's going on?
Well, I mean, that's when you put it that way.
I was looking at this.
I'm just meaning of that might make it more interesting because if you have The Walking Dead versus what's another one? Wolf Among Us. Or against Detroit Become Human, Walking Dead and Detroit Become Human. That would be an interesting one because those are both
similar
choice-based QTRs. While if you had Walking Dead up against, it's in the same long shot one, Walking Dead up against Uncharted. It's that doesn't.
Well,
doesn't make much sense.
At this point, it has to be even out. I have a structure that they're going to go in, and I will try to make interesting matchups early on, but I can't guarantee that. But what we can do is we can set the first 16.
Do you have Destiny go against Halo?
Yeah, that is true.
And it's both in long shot. That could work.
All right, so here are the 7 potential contenders. Really, there are only 3 that I think can win, but I put these all in the same category. The first one is Deus Ex Human Revolution. Have you played that?
No.
I played it for 5 minutes and I was done. It's the same kind of thing as it's a first person game, and if the controls don't work, and you can't even customize the controls in that from what I remember. And I was like, "Oh, I'm out." They were funky too. They were really funky. And that's just a personal pet peeve of mine.
It is on my list, but as well as Dishonored, but I'm putting Dishonored higher up on.
It's certainly in the category of Cyberpunk 2077, more complete game. That is the game that most people say Cyberpunk is like. So if you like Cyberpunk, you probably should dive into that.
There's also movies what is it, Machina or something? Isn't that kind of like Deus Ex?
Kind of. Not really. I guess I haven't. I don't. Like I said, haven't even played it, so I can't get into that. All right. So
Ex Machina. Yeah.
Yeah. So I'm just curious, how many of these games we're ranking them, and I haven't actually played all of them. I played the rest of them on this top tier list. Actually, that's not true. I have played Dragon Age Origins, though, which you have not.
No. What about Skyrim?
Skyrim is in the top tier. Horizon Zero Dawn is in the top tier. Outer Worlds was very highly recommended for most of the people who wrote or tweeted in, I guess.
I keep hearing mixed things about that game.
Yeah, I don't know if it's for everybody, but it's something. I think that's along the lines of it being an RPG that's set in space.
Well, I've heard that if you like the New Vegas, Fallout New Vegas, that's the same one that Obsidian made, that you would like Outer Worlds, but it is like a pulled back version of it. They scaled it back a little bit, made it a bit easier in the RPG aspect.
Okay.
I've heard some people say that, but then I've also heard some people say that it is like a detailed RPG and so on. So it's, I don't know. Different people enjoy different games. That's just my view of it.
Yeah. You mentioned Knights of the Old Republic, Star Wars Knights of the Old Republic. Have you played that one? You had to have played that one, right?
Maybe.
Okay.
That is the
that game
MMO.
No, this is the Drew Karpyshyn written BioWare game.
There are so many Star Wars.
It's the same universe, is what it is.
I'm just there are so many Star Wars games that I've played, but I can't remember the name.
So
there are so many of them.
Knights of the Old Republic is the precursor to Mass Effect. It's basically Mass Effect set in the Star Wars universe.
Well, yeah, but what was the game? Is what I'm
Knights of the Old Republic.
Well, yes, but what was the gameplay style of it?
More of an old school.
Yeah, it was an MMO.
No, it was not an MMO. There is an MMO called the Old Republic. How do you not know Knights of the Old Republic? You have no idea how bad you're coming off.
I'm looking at the BioWare one under genre, the massively multiplayer online role-playing game.
That is called the Old Republic. Knights of the Old Republic is the game that came before that.
That's what I'm looking at.
No, I guarantee you Knights of the Old Republic.
I'm so confused.
This is embarrassing. This is fucking... Do we have to restart the show?
No.
Or do we have to wait till Scott's on so we can have someone who actually knows games?
No.
Oh my god. Oh my god. Knights of the... It's the precursor to Mass Effect.
I'm so confused here.
Why? Fucking... You're the wrong person to have on this show. This is not good.
I was looking... Oh, it's Star Wars series. I had to actually click.
All right, we're done.
I was on the Wikipedia.
We're done having you try to find out what this is. The last one is Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. That is our number one seed because people are obsessed with that game. Still, I am curious to see.
That is the one that's going to win.
I'm curious to see if that took like a hit based upon fucking, actually Cyberpunk coming out and not doing as well, not as popular. If people will be less interested in seeing that.
I mean, they still have the game. The Witcher 3 is still The Witcher 3. The release of Cyberpunk hasn't changed any of it.
It shouldn't matter, really. I mean, yeah, it's a ridiculously solid game. You've played like an hour of it?
I have played the Up to the Griffin 3 times.
So you played the... you've replayed the same thing over and over again. That's great.
Yeah, pretty much.
Okay. By the way, actually, I guess we should go over this first, and I didn't, but this is important. We are not having doubles as far as games that are in the exact same series. So sequels to games, you can only choose one. And the first thing we decided, I mean, some people recommended Witcher 2. Witcher 3 is by far the more interesting game. But for Dragon Age, so Dragon Age Inquisition will not be in this tournament because it has been eliminated already, according to votes by people.
Ooh, there we go.
So Dragon Age Origins will be the representative for the Dragon Age franchise in this tournament. Also, interestingly enough, Fallout New Vegas will be the Fallout representative in this tournament. And it smashed the other games, which is interesting because Fallout New Vegas, that's the one not made by the main guys.
Yeah.
As we just talked about.
And, I mean... Fallout. Well, I mean, there is a toss-up between Fallout 3 and Fallout New Vegas. I think that
according to my vote, 53% or 54% of the people voted for New Vegas. 17% of the people voted for Fallout 3. That is not a toss-up.
Oh, I was meaning like the Metacritic thing.
Oh,
like,
okay.
I think those games. I think Fallout 3 and Fallout.
I don't think Fallout 3 holds up as well because I remember the combat being extra clunky in that. But
New Vegas is 84, Fallout 3 91.
Yeah, people love Fallout 3 when it came out.
Yeah.
What I think happened with that debate is the four games, the original Fallout actually did get some votes, but I bet people who like Fallout 3 and Fallout 4 split their votes and then New Vegas took it over.
The most Fallout games that I have played is Fallout 4. Well, I played Fallout New Vegas through the character customizer. I stepped outside into like an air, I think it was a school or something like that. Like I walked around a little bit, went to a school, I took a pencil, and I went outside and people were like, "You stole something," and started attacking me. And I was like, okay. I was just done.
That's all it took.
So I did that, but I played a decent amount of Fallout 4 and Fallout Shelter, though.
Fallout Shelter was not recommended.
A lot of time in.
And is not going to be in the tournament. So.
Well, I wouldn't imagine it be. I wouldn't recommend it to a Mass Effect.
I
liked it though. It was a pretty cool game. Did you play it?
Shelter, no. I'm not a huge fan of the Fallout universe because I find it boring.
Yeah. I just find RPGs a bit difficult.
It's more of an exploration game, and everything looks the same to me because it's a fucking burnt out world.
That's part of why I kind of enjoyed Fallout 4.
Yeah, it is why people enjoy it.
I didn't play much of the story. Same thing with Skyrim. I honestly haven't really
Don't worry. Yeah, that's not what those games are about.
Haven't played them. The way that I play them is I will roam around and do side quests while I am listening to a podcast or watching a video or doing something else. I am always doing multiple things at once.
That I kind of take it as it's an exploration game. You do your own thing. You go spelunking. Yeah, the rest of it's not important. Yeah.
While the other games, kind of like Dragon Age Origins, Knights of the Old Republic, Deus Ex, all those games, you have to pay more attention to it because there's a story that's going on.
So out of the top tier games we have, Deus Ex Human Revolution, Dragon Age Origins, Horizon Zero Dawn, Outer Worlds, Skyrim, Knights of the Old Republic, Witcher 3 Wild Hunt. The only one you've really played is Skyrim, right?
Yeah. Okay,
I have played...
That's just because my personal taste on RPG games. I don't know why Mass Effect
it's weird. It's the sci-fi space universe.
But
that's why there are games in this recommendation list that are almost have nothing to do with Mass Effect except being set in space. Because that's a huge draw. Yeah. All right, so that means I get to decide these. Although we got help from Scott. So Witcher 3 number 1. I'm gonna go Dragon Age Origins number 2. Because the support for that game is very, very strong.
So you feel like it's going to end up with Dragon Age Origins against Witcher 3 Wild Hunt?
In the finals, yeah.
Then what you should do for fun is have those two up against each other as one of the first few choices.
No, that is completely defeats the point of what we're doing right now. That completely defeats the point of what we're doing right now. Why are you even on this podcast? We need to wait for this is a fucking disaster already. You're terrible.
What do you mean?
You're terrible. You don't even understand how this works.
Well, I mean,
anyway, they're on opposite sides of the bracket on purpose so they can meet in the finals and have it be a real final.
Well, I mean,
that's how you expect
it. That's how you expect it to go.
The entire point is to make this fair so you don't get some shit game in the finals.
But how is it fair when you put another game up against Witcher 3 when you expect it to be at the end?
It's not fair.
You should have it in the beginning so then we can have
it doesn't need to be fair because if you're up against Witcher 3, so basically the way it'll work, Witcher 3 is the number 1 seed. The very first poll that's going to come out will be Witcher 3 versus the number 32 ranked game, the number 33 ranked game, and the number 64 ranked game. Is it important for any of those games to really have a shot?
Well,
the answer is no, Tucker. The answer is no. The answer is absolutely no.
It'd just be decent to pit games that are up against equal kind of games.
Yeah,
so that we can actually have
we'll get there.
Surprise.
But if you have 64 different ones, you got to get there. So calm down. We'll look for the very, very big upsets. It'll be interesting. So I'm going, these are going to be on opposite sides. The potential final then, my third game is going to be Horizon Zero Dawn. I think that's going to do very, very well. And my fourth...
When does the sequel come out for that?
This year, maybe. The pandemic is going to mess with stuff. I think this year's going to be very, very light as far as games actually coming out.
I don't think... Well, so while Outer Worlds is a game that is enjoyed, I don't think it's actually going to do that well because it is a game that I don't hear people still talk about. I still hear people talk about Witcher, Horizon, but it may be it's coming up.
It's not in the same category.
Deus Ex.
By the way, Scott had Outer Worlds as his number 3 game overall.
Did he?
Yeah. Which I am bumping down to 5, 6.
I feel like that one's going to be the lower one of...
What we're going to do with this, because you seem to want to do your own thing but not do any of the work, is I'm going to come up with a list and you're going to tell me where I'm wrong, and you have to convince me otherwise, and I'm going to probably ignore you. You have not been very successful in convincing me of anything, even when you're right. I just Tucker said it. I'm not going to listen to him.
Oh, that's heartbreaking.
It's
I'm
true,
going in with the anchor effect.
Yeah, and in fact, I figured like you recommend a game, you're like, I'm not sure I want to play that.
Although there are some people in the comments that like when I talked about Starflight,
they were
like, yeah.
You're not alone. You're just alone on this podcast when it's the two of us.
Well, I'm very much alone in my life. I can tell you that.
That's depressing.
Well, I mean, that's my life. I am working on a script right now. It is about 12-something pages, and it is a video about every video game genre, and it breaks all of it down. So there's action within action. There's platformers, shooters.
I think that's not a single video, man.
Within shooters, there's different types of shooters, of like shoot 'em ups. Within shoot 'em ups, there's different types of shoot 'em ups. There's shooting galleries. Within shooting galleries, there's different ones. There's a lot, but I've been reading about a lot of small games that were incredibly influential, but were on genres that I've never even noticed or heard of. Like the original Mario Brothers, you know, the Super Mario Brothers game, that's a side scroller everyone knows, but it didn't start there. It started with an original game called Mario Bros, and that is called a single screen platformer, or in Japan, they're called a comical action game. And that is a platformer that takes place on a single screen. There's no rotation, no anything of that. It just takes place on a single screen. And that is where Mario Brothers started.
I don't know why I let you go on tangents as long as you do.
Because it's a little fun fact for the kids to take home.
Are you an older person now? Or for people who kids, you're the kid.
Yeah, no, I'm 26.
Okay.
And I'm young in spirit.
That's too old to be a kid. You're really more like a 12-year-old. I'm
young in spirit.
That's in a 30 or 26-year-old body. That doesn't look like a 26-year-old body. You could probably. Do you get carded still?
No, I have facial hair.
Whoa, that shouldn't be enough to. I mean, there are fucking 12-year-olds with facial hair. So, yeah. Although it's
no. I have like I have actual facial hair. I don't have like the little kid hairs thing.
All right, because you're going off in different directions. I'm just going to list these games and we can talk about them. So basically, 1, Witcher 3, 2, Dragon Age Origins, 3, Horizon Zero Dawn, 4, Knights of the Old Republic, which I can't believe you had to fucking look that up. That's so embarrassing as a Mass Effect YouTuber. That's so embarrassing. That's so pathetic.
What it is there are so many different Star Wars games.
That is the Star Wars game.
There's the Jedi Outcast games. There's the MMO. There were all those other games, and I get the names mixed up on them so much.
Okay, Outer Worlds is going to be 5. Skyrim is going to be 6. Deus Ex Human Revolution is going to be 7. Here's another tier of games, and you will talk about whether or not you've played them or not. Assassin's Creed Odyssey.
I have not played the Assassin's Creed games post Black Flag.
Okay, Assassin's Creed Odyssey is the most RPG of them, from what I can tell. I haven't played Valhalla yet because I'm decided to wait on most Ubisoft games until they come out with all their DLC, because it bothers the shit out of me how long they take.
So you wait for
the gold edition or whatever.
I mean, that's a solid, and there's so many games right now that honestly, that's a solid plan as it is. That way you don't play a game and then you stop for a few months, and then when the DLC comes out, you have to go back and learn the controls.
Yeah, I don't like doing that, and it's extremely common. So, yeah. All right, so here's some second ones. So you haven't played Assassin's. How about Baldur's Gate 2 is old. That's an old game.
Yeah, I bought it recently.
That is the first major Impact BioWare game, although I guess some people could say the original Baldur's Gate would count.
I want to play it. It's an RTS, right?
No. Not really. It's more of a...
Looking at pictures of it.
I gotta remember Diablo style.
No, it's just
co-op.
It's the view of it. It says
Diablo's
single
not the right
player.
Word. It's single player, and you control a group of... It wasn't my thing, from what I remember. I remember people being into it as kids, and I was not into it because you couldn't jump, which I had a problem with that when I was like 7 or 8. You need to be able to jump in a video game. That was my definition of a video. I mean, I was completely wrong, and I was also like 7. So,
that's fair.
You can be mad at a 7-year-old if you want.
I'll get angry at a 7-year-old.
You dick. That's okay. I get mad.
I mean, looking at the camera angles of it, why would you think that why was jumping important? Your character is like an ant.
No. The jumping was important for any video game in my head when I was 7. If you couldn't jump, then I didn't want to play the game because
what about racing games?
I mean, could you jump in the racing game, dude? I was like 7. I wasn't playing that many games.
Go off ramps. Well,
keep in mind that, by the way, if I was 7 and I stayed with that attitude, I never would play Mass Effect because you can't jump until Mass Effect Andromeda.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Well, I mean, you jump in the cutscenes sometimes.
That would not count.
You wouldn't. That wouldn't trick your 7-year-old brain.
No, because I wasn't controlling the jump.
There are times where I give my nephews, when they were younger, I'd give them a controller that's turned off as I'm playing the game.
Yeah.
Honestly, there are sometimes where I'd throw a cutscene up and just kind of have them sit there and they thought they were playing it.
Yeah, which is good.
Yeah, no, it's great.
Okay, the next one, you have played Cyberpunk 2077.
Yes. And Cyberpunk is one of the games I've been enjoying the most recently, actually.
Interesting.
Because, well, again, what I like to do is I don't play sound with Cyberpunk. And all I'm doing is I'm just running around the map, completing all the NYPD blue things, completing all the side gigs, doing all of that. And I'm just listening to podcasts or going through documentaries and videos and stuff
that's
like that.
More along the lines of open world, clear the map type games that you're playing it like at. So it's not quite what people were expecting out of that, which is more of a story-driven conversational thing.
And that's why I say, like, when I enjoy Cyberpunk, I recognize I am very much in a niche of it, because just running around with a katana or something and doing so much damage, just running into a group of 5 people with a katana and just wrecking it is a lot of fun. Or my intelligence is level 20, and I have legendary everything with all my hack stuff and all the cyberware. So I just walk into a room and I am death. I throw contagion in there, I do breach protocol, make everyone weak, and they're all sick, they're throwing up, and I short circuit them, I'm just walking through. It's fun.
Okay.
And then, because it's like, these are some bad guys here, and I just go over there, they're gone, and then I hip-hop away.
I'm glad people are enjoying that game. I will play it when it's done. Probably when the PS5 version comes out, which will not be probably until near the end of the year. They said second half of 2021, but I think they'll take their time on that one.
Oh, there was a game I heard that is coming out. It's a big game that's coming out that is still coming out on prior gen. I think it's the next Battlefield game.
Most of them are coming out on prior gen.
That is a mistake. They need, like, I mean...
What, a mistake to put things out on prior gen?
I mean, if you saw the issue that Cyberpunk made...
Well, basically what you have to do is you have to make a game for last gen and then up-res it, as opposed to making a game for the new gen and then down-resing it, which appears to be what CD Projekt Red tried to do. Or got stuck doing, because they were really making a PC game and porting it.
It's just like the best way to...
I mean, in all fairness, man, Ubisoft hit a couple cross-gen games already, and they were fine. Yeah.
And part of it also is that there is no launch date for Battlefield 6, so them saying that, yeah, they're still going to launch it with prior gen, it's like there's also no launch date, so I don't know.
So
is it probably going to be holiday this year? But if it's not...
Do you think everybody who wants a new console by next December is going to have one? Like, are there going to be enough new consoles out for that to work?
That is what I think is the strongest argument against my...
Yeah, I mean, that's the point. Like, the whole point of making these games is to sell them, right?
Yeah, and I do kind of wonder how, like, is this generation, do you think, going to be the last console generation?
No, people keep on saying that. That's such crap. That's such crap. I mean, do you know what consoles are for broke gamers? And so you can get a game. You can get a game that's not that expensive, and then, they'll keep on coming out with new hardware, man.
Well, I'm meaning that there will be more consoles that come out. But I'm meaning
they'll just be like variations of the console?
Yes, like this is the Xbox Series X. And so from here on, it is a variation of that instead of a new console.
I believe 100% that Sony and Nintendo will continue. And then Microsoft will have to figure out a way to compete with that. So.
Yeah, Nintendo just does whatever Nintendo does. Nintendo fucking made cardboard consoles.
Good for them.
Did you see that stuff?
I've seen older computers. Like there's a computer.
Oh, no, it's not old. It was like 2 years ago.
Oh, really?
Yeah, where they made like cardboard video game things.
Okay.
Video games.
One of the local colleges had one of the original Apple computers, because that's Apple's right by where I was from, made by Steve Wozniak. It's made out of wood. Like the circuit board is made out of wood. It's good stuff, man.
It's called Nintendo Labo. And
I saw that.
Yeah. And another thing, though, this is a fact that I know that you don't know.
This is the biggest problem with coming up with a topic that you don't give a shit about, is I have no chance of keeping you on topic. None at all.
This is a cool fun fact. I can speedrun the fact.
We'll see. We'll see if it's a fun fact.
So, you know Excel.
I do know Excel.
The Microsoft product.
It is a program, yeah.
There is a hidden game inside Windows Excel 95.
Okay.
And it is, if you select row 95, you hit tab 1, like you click the number, you hit tab once, so the box is in the second row. You go up at the top, you click About, and then go to, or Help, hit About, and then with Tech Support, you hold Control, Shift, and Alt, and you click Tech Support, and a Doom type of like maze runner game pops up in front of you that has the names of all of the developers that worked on it. And there's like a little maze that you can go through and little stuff like that. And if you get to the end, it is a room with a picture of the developers. And it's called the Hall of Tortured Souls.
Oh, that's a great way to promote yourself with the game. That must mean they did not have a good time making that.
I just think that's fucking fantastic.
Also, does anyone have a running copy of like Excel 95?
It's just like,
hold on, Tucker, were you alive in 95? I wasn't doing the math.
I popped out in 94.
Okay, so you were you were like a toddler playing that thing.
Well, yeah.
Yeah, I'm not being serious. All right, so Dead Space is also on this list. We mentioned Fallout New Vegas.
That is a fantastic game.
I like Dead. We both like Dead Space a lot, probably for different reasons.
Well, I like the spook.
I like the fact that it's a shooter where you don't target their head.
That is a very creative.
And that was like, I was like, the first I'm like, oh man, it's another shooter, and that fucking like line cutter where you go after their limbs. I'm like, this is fucking sweet, and I was into it from there. But
some of them you like can shoot their heads off and they still come at you,
or they get stronger, right? From what good series. Also came out around the same time of Mass Effect. That's
makes me really excited for the Callisto Protocol.
We'll see.
Callisto.
We'll see. Greedfall. Have you played Greedfall?
I have not, but
have you heard of Greedfall?
Was brought up in our Discord.
I didn't mention the Discord. Yes, in the description box, there's Discord. You can come chat with people.
And another fun thing, too, with our Discord right now, one of our members is playing Mass Effect 2. We can see that one of the people is playing...
At this very moment?
Yeah.
Okay.
I don't want to say the person's name specifically, but yeah, if you're in the Discord chat, you can see that they are playing Mass Effect 2. That's awesome.
Still a good game. I'm actually really excited to play that again.
Yeah. One of my friends,
most of my experiences,
he's never played him.
Okay, that's cool.
But he is he's a huge fan of Chrono Trigger, which is a game that heavily inspired Mass Effect.
I'm laughing because there were like 6 games on the last podcast. You're like, that was the inspiration for Mass Effect.
Well, it can take multiple inspirations.
And you're still going, like, that was the heaviest inspiration. Dude, they can't all be that heavy.
Well, I mean, they can inspire different things.
I don't care. It's still funny. Anyway, I will give Greedfall another chance at one point. It's another game that I went in and the controls weren't for me, and that's all it took for me to back out.
You know, we should probably do a thing where we have to play
where you make me play a certain amount of a game I don't want to play and I complain the whole time and you giggle about it. Is that actually worth a video? Does anyone want to see that?
That has bounced around the back of my head of playing like some of the small cinematic platformers or something like that with you and get your response to that. Or
I generally like those games. They're just not in the wheelhouse of what we do.
To bond our friendship, we can play Portal 2 co-op or something like that.
Interesting.
Where we had to solve puzzles together.
I'd have to buy that on your console then. What
I was meaning was like the contenders. We haven't played all of those. We probably should have.
I played most of them, at least tried them.
That is fair.
In fact, Fallout New Vegas I didn't get into, but I played enough of Fallout 3 to have my fill, and I tried Fallout 4. Jade Empire I haven't played because it was old enough that I didn't get into, but the rest of them I've at least played significantly or beaten entirely.
Jade Empire.
Jade Empire, another BioWare game. Don't look it up because you're going to sound dumber than you are. You're not as dumb as you sound.
Joke's on you. I already looked it up.
So anyway, check the Twitter feed of MiniusGC. We're going to fire off this tournament. It is going to take at least a month.
Oh, you're not going to mention the other two?
I'm not getting into this because you don't give a fuck.
What do you mean?
You don't give a fuck.
I know. I was excited because Fallen Order. I played that game.
Fallen Order. You actually played Fallen Order? Fallen Order is a good game.
I got all the achievements in it.
Fallen Order is the biggest hope for the next Mass Effect game because it's the first complete single player AAA game that EA has come out with in a while. And I was like, oh, okay, they can do that. That's interesting.
It also helped boost the Star Wars communities, like their faith in EA as well after Battlefront and both 1 and 2.
And then they lost the exclusivity right after that. Which is a good thing. It'll make them make better games. I mean, you know, like Madden was the premier football franchise for a long time until they didn't have to compete with anyone. And then there wasn't as much innovation because they didn't have to.
I mean, my argument against that is it's football. How much can you...
A lot, Tucker. A lot. We will not get into that on this podcast because it still bothers me that
that'd be fun because I worked on that game.
Yeah, you worked on that game, and I'm a huge football guy, and that bothers the fuck out of me.
And, well, there are also some things that I learned. Like, people have always said things of, like, why aren't there cheerleaders or mascots or stuff like that in the game? And people will point to that as, like, laziness, that, oh, they only have the players in the crowd. But part of that is, like, they have to pay for all.
Yeah, I don't think most people realize the NFL is crazy. NFL is the National Football League that does. Yeah. They are crazy sticklers for you paying for everything. And so it's a lot. So like it's a lot harder to do all that stuff than you think.
So like when people talk about how the games could improve, you know, the developers in there they understand that, but you know, they're limited.
My favorite football game is still going to be Blitz. Did you ever play any Blitz? It's probably a little bit before your time.
I did not.
Okay. But it's just basically an arcade game that is too violent to bring back because the NFL...
What do you mean? There's Blood Bowl. Is it more violent than Blood Bowl?
No, I mean, it's too violent to bring back in and of they can't use the NFL franchise names because the owners won't let them. Because they don't...
Oh, do they... Did they actually have the names in it? It's not like made-up names?
Oh, yeah, in the old Blitz games. Yeah, no, that was NFL Blitz. It was started an arcade game, came out to a bunch of consoles. There was a newer one. Basically, it was a game where, like, after the whistle blew, you could still beat the crap out of each other, which is a lot of fun as a kid.
Have you played Blood Bowl?
I don't think so.
Do you know what that is?
I've heard it, but
It is a turn-based football game.
I don't think that works.
It does.
And Tucker, I don't think that works as a football fan, is what I'm saying.
Well, you can beat the shit out of them.
That's great, but that's not an actual football game, is what I'm saying. How bored are these people now? We're trying to entertain,
Warhammer.
man. It's not working.
It's also made by Warhammer, and I don't know if you noticed the Warhammer gaming kind of community or series or whatnot, but they just throw their name out. There are dozens of different types of Warhammer games.
Yeah.
From first-person melee games, there's the turn-based football one. They have a Total War game. They got all of these types.
Wait, you mean Warhammer or Total War
Warhammer?
That is a game, isn't it?
What? Total War?
Yeah, there's a Total War version of Warhammer, right?
There's two of them.
Yeah. People, I've gotten kind of into that. Was it? No, it's not. I'm trying to think. There was one Warhammer 40K game I got really, really into, but I can't remember the name of it. Anyway, that's not as interesting, and no one recommended it. Anyway, like I said, you can check my Twitter. We'll be going over this every week on the show. We'll go over the different polls that went in there and talk about each game individually. That way, we don't have to spend a bunch of time on it.
Well, what about XCOM?
I'm done trying to get.
It's the last one, and XCOM is a fantastic game. You're talking about turn-based.
I'm done trying to get you to stay on topic. I'm done. One of the games that was recommended, Deliver Us the Moon. I played that just a couple days ago.
Did you?
I played half of it. That game is depressing as fuck, man.
Ooh, good.
It's so. I mean, like, there are games you play sci-fi games. You're like, yeah, this could happen. That game, you're like, yeah, that's probably going to happen. This is depressing. It's too real. It's too real.
Well, that's good. I mean, that's the point of it.
Yeah, and you're like, you're looking at it, and you launch off the Earth, and you look back, and Earth is this dust bowl, and everyone's fucking dead. And you look at it, and you're like, oh god, this is going to happen. They probably bump up the timeline a little bit of it, but it's enough. Like, it's a game I could see myself really enjoying if the world I lived in was doing better. So I could but when things aren't going so well, like, there's a pandemic going on and shit, it's not as fun.
Really? I mean, that's fair.
Yeah, it's depressing. I was looking at this, I'm like, this is going to fucking happen. This is depressing.
So do you judge or hold the games that you don't play, like, based on real world events? Does that change the games that you play?
I haven't played a lot of games based on real world events, and theoretically that game is not based off real world events. It's based off of potential events.
Well, I'm not meaning it of itself being based on real world events. I'm meaning
name an example that you would want to talk about, and then.
Well, like, there's a lot of unrest going on, but would you be interested in playing a game like Homefront, where there is an invasion and sort of an uprising?
You mean like a crazy North Korean invasion that doesn't make any sense?
Yeah.
That's not realistic, man.
Well, I know, but
those dudes can't even feed themselves, man. I don't see them going anywhere.
Well, I know, but there are sometimes that people with real events going on, they will not want to play games that may be similar to that because it may be too stressful. And how you just talked about how you were doing Deliver Us to the Moon, but with all the events going on, you're like, oh, it's depressing and stuff. Yeah. I just didn't know if that affects.
No, it's more of the, like, it's like things aren't going as well, so the things that are really popular, like superhero movies, are really fake. But when things are going well, then they'll pull it back and they'll get more serious stuff, and people can handle it better. That's kind of the way I was feeling. I was thinking, like, this is too real of a game for me to be, it's not. I imagine like it's really like a piece of artwork, but I don't even know if it finishes well or not. I have a feeling it's not going to. Great.
Well, I mean, what do you mean finish well?
As in
story-wise, or
I just figure everyone's going to die.
Oh, so narrative-wise.
Yeah.
So, you're not a fan of that? You're not a fan of Gothic?
I'm saying that's fine. I'm just saying I'm not in the mood for it right now and where we are in society.
Oh.
What do you mean, oh? Just go outside and be depressed. You don't need to be depressed in a fake world.
They say that art, though, is reflection of things that are going on.
That's great. And I think people will really enjoy it. I'm just saying from my standpoint, I'm like, if I'm playing something and getting depressed, I don't... I mean, like, legitimately depressed because I'm seeing this and I'm like, oh, this is going to happen. This is going to fucking happen. And then I'm like, oh, that's enough for me. But from that standpoint, I think people would really enjoy that game. So, by the way, this poll series has already succeeded because it's given me a game to play and think about. And there's a couple other here on here.
See? That's, we're recommending a game that you may not have ever heard of.
Yeah. That's great. It doesn't. The games that are more interesting don't have to win this contest. They just have to be in it.
Well,
the whole point is starting a conversation that you don't want to have, you little bitch.
Well, no, I'm fine having the conversation. I'm just a bit more distracted. I will be honest with that. I'm a bit more distracted just because, honestly, there's a lot of games. Like, that's 64 games,
it's
and that's
too many
fine as a topic.
Brain. So what's going to happen is there are going to be individual polls of 4, and the top 2 will move on, and we'll talk about each poll, and then we can talk about the game in more of a specific, narrow function, which you should be able to handle.
Well, yeah. I don't know. It's just like,
you're right.
Just a lot of games to go through.
64 is a lot. It could have been 128, and that was too much.
Well, that would have also been kind of fun.
Yeah, no, this is all kind of fun.
You're talking about disturbing things.
I have sent you the full list, right? Can you look at that?
Yeah, it's on the Discord thing.
All the way through. It's on the Twitter direct.
It even shows the eliminated ones. I could have talked about XCOM. There's also XCOM, FTL.
We talked a bit about FTL last week. There's the Old Republic MMO that you wanted to talk about.
Oh, hey, yeah, there it is.
That is the only series that has 2 because the MMO is significantly different, in my opinion.
Honestly, those names fuck with me so much.
The idea is it's really like Knights of the Old Republic 3 in an MMO standpoint. They finished off some story stuff there. It was an interesting experiment. I don't think it worked, but it did. I guess it worked eventually.
XCOM is a good series, though, and there are probably mods.
What's interesting about XCOM is they've started adding story stuff to that, and I'm not into that.
What do you mean that they started adding story?
No, I mean like they added like characters that you control. In the latest DLC.
The new game or the one that's like a third-person one? Oh, yeah. I keep forgetting that new game is out, and that one was weird because the trailer made it seem like the humans and aliens were all like buddy and nice, and it seemed like a jokey kind of...
That's not the one I'm talking about. I'm talking about the DLC to XCOM 2.
Oh. I thought you were meaning the new XCOM that came out.
Yeah,
what was the DLC?
Chimera Squad is the new one you're talking about. That was weird.
Yeah, that one...
I like, in my XCOM games, to make my own characters and kind of imagine their own backstories instead of telling me what their own backstories and stuff are. So we'll see where the new game goes. I'm probably going to be less interested in that, where that series is going, than it appears to be going.
Or maybe that may be a one-off. There's also Gears of War Tactics that I've heard plays like XCOM. And it's from the Gears of War series.
I could do with more tactics games like that. There are a couple that I'm like, they're supposed to be buggy, and I haven't really tried out. But anyway, have you played Outer Wilds?
Wait, Outer Wilds or Outer Worlds?
Wilds with an I.
Wild. No.
Okay,
that is on my list.
Put that one on your list. That is in your wheelhouse of indie game. It's basically you explore a solar system that's made like I was going to say real time.
It remakes itself.
It's a 2-scale solar system. Like this.
Doesn't it like remake itself in every 30 minutes or something? Like
that? There's you get trapped in a time loop and they go over why. But you try to uncover what's going on, and you go ahead and explore minor puzzling. But that's a really, really good space sci-fi game.
Ooh,
if you're interested
that reminds me. there is a time loop video game. There have been trailers for them recently. 12 Minutes. Have you heard of that one?
I don't think so.
Ooh, I mean, did you like the time loop aspect of...
I was more into the exploration aspect, so time loops are fine. I'll get prickly about time stuff, but...
The 12 Minutes is a top-down perspective of an apartment suite that's shared by a husband and a wife.
So
and
I don't want to play a game where I'm stuck in an apartment, man. I'm already doing that right now.
Fair. Yeah, fair. But something happens.
You're in an apartment and you can't get out. You're like, dude, I don't... Oh.
And something happens, and the player has to take actions to learn what happened and everything. And every 12 minutes, it kind of resets. It loops. There's another game, indie game called Minute, that is a game that you are alive for only a minute.
Just a minute, huh? That sounds like your thing.
Yeah. But
that sounds like your attention span is about a minute, and that's about as much as you can do.
Well, you go out and you interact with the world.
In a minute?
Yes, and the world saves what you're doing. And then when your character dies and you go back to a spawn point, the button that you press or something like that is still pressed. And the items that you picked up are still there. And something that is cool about Minute specifically is in Seattle, there's a museum. And I think I may have talked about this before, but there's a museum of pop culture that has a specific wing for indie video games. And Minute is in there, and you can play it in the museum.
But you can't do that right now.
Well, no, it's closed.
So what the hell are you doing to people?
I'm giving them a fun fact. I'm giving them
a fun fact about how shitty their life is. You can't do this even if you wanted to.
Well, I mean, I would just think that it's cool in of itself that there are video games in wings of museums. And that museum is also really cool. If you're a fan of guitars, they have a room that has a bunch of guitars from
You've done this on the show already before, man.
Oh, I know, but I don't know what parts I've talked about.
It's okay. Like you talked long enough about it. No one can go into this museum. I mean, seriously, no one can go into this museum. What do you mean, aw?
Well, I actually do think that you can. Because the Seattle Art Museum, is kind of open. They have small tours and things like that where you have to reserve your space ahead of time. So the Mopop may have something like that.
So next week on the show, we're going to get into games that you want to see, and we'll get as detailed as Tucker gets. I have a feeling I have a feeling you're going to get way, way into it.
Well,
at some point, I would like to do a full-on pitch of a game you would like.
I mean, I've done pitches.
I'm aware of that, but not on the show. Actually, that's not true. You probably have done it on the show before.
I think I did.
We're more than 50 episodes in at this point. It's.
Well, no. I think recently I did something akin to a pitch.
Yeah, I think a pitch of finding a game that exactly you would want to see, that'd be
I
neat.
could pitch a...
What we need to do is we need to give you a timer because you wouldn't have an infinite amount of time to pitch to somebody, and I don't think.
I could pitch to you a zombie game and see if you would enjoy it.
The answer to that is no.
See, I mean, that's the anchor ego.
What do you pitch?
We could play a zombie game. We could do
if you're pitching someone a game and they went on about how they don't like that genre for about a half hour... what are you expecting the result to be?
Going in for the challenge.
No, the challenge is you're just going to annoy me, which you know, on purpose. Or
I mean, that's the challenge. I know you're not keen on zombies, so it's like, well, here's idea.
Was I not strong enough? It's not that I'm not keen on zombies. It's that I hate the genre and I don't want it to go away.
Well, because I still don't. I'm still confused by what you don't like by it.
Oh my God. Go re-listen to the pod. No, we're not getting into this. Okay, we have a couple questions. You can ask us questions on the Discord if we need to clean up that channel, or send an email to accidentallycasual@gmail.com. You down for some Mass Effect questions? They're more modern ones. I bet you are.
Is what?
Are you down for some Mass Effect questions?
Sure.
All right.
I didn't know if you were asking me. I was a bit confused there.
Well, you've been confused the entire podcast.
That's fair.
All right. Belial Architect wrote into accidentallycasual@gmail.com and actually did it. This is an interesting one. Do you think The Mandalorian will have an impact on the new Mass Effect game, specifically the space western aspect of it?
Well, yeah.
You know, it's interesting. Andromeda was pitched as a space western. That was before The Mandalorian.
Yeah. Well, I mean, The Mandalorian, like, that idea has been around in comics before I think, right?
If you're into the space westerns, go check out Firefly.
Yeah, I was also going to say there's Firefly.
And that wasn't the first one, but that's
and the
probably
Guardians
the best.
Of the Galaxy as well.
Yeah, that's not as much of a western, is it?
Well, that's fair. It's definitely not more of a, but it is.
The entire concept,
I was thinking of a group in space. Like, that was, yeah.
The entire concept of an unlawful frontier, it really works well with space. And so that influence is already there, I think, is the answer to that.
Well, I also think it works because it's, something futuristic. It's something that we don't know is going to happen, while if we do a Western now, it is viewed more as a historic piece. Or something, because you're looking at actual Western civilization.
Well, it's more of the concept of the Western, of you being out on your own and not being able to rely on anybody else and solving your own problems. So if you're way out there on a planet, yeah, I mean, it's not like you're going to be able to call someone for help. I mean, it's got to be you. And that's when outlaws run around wild, when there's nobody in the area. Hydro Cannon 58 wrote into the Discord.
Well, we didn't answer his question, though.
Yeah, we did. I said it's already an impact in the thing. You're not even listening to what I'm saying.
No, the Mandalorian, though. But how do we think that that's going to impact it?
I said basically the answer is not at all, because that's already an impact.
I think it is going to impact it. But the fact that
the Western aspect of it, I mean, like I said, Westerns have already been in sci-fi for a really long time.
Sure,
that was the answer of it.
When was the last time they were as popular as this?
Probably when Firefly came out. I don't know.
How long ago was that?
And Firefly, in fairness, wasn't as popular. It was probably a better series. Take that.
Take
that, Star Wars fans.
Firefly is enjoyed, but yeah, no, it's
a much better series. I'm not even.
But I mean, I haven't seen Firefly.
Yeah, I don't, and you won't watch it.
I might. It's only one season, right?
Yeah. And a movie.
Get to that. I mean, that doesn't mean much, but yeah, I might actually get to that, because I haven't seen Star Trek either. But how many seasons of there are Star Trek?
Star Trek, there's at least 5 different series
I honestly
with multiple
feel
seasons that you won't catch up on.
It's too late. Yeah, I feel like it's too late to get in Star Trek. While Firefly is gone, but The Mandalorian really has shined a new light on how we can do a space western in the modern time, in our time, with it, instead of 20 years ago or.
I guess so. I don't.
It is absolutely going to have an impact.
I don't feel like that's as a standout as people are saying it is, but maybe it's just because I've seen
more of
stuff.
A focus on it.
I'm aware of that. I'm just saying it's been done before. And in general, dude, the original Mass Effect Andromeda trailer pitch was set to fucking Western music, man.
Oh yeah. Absolutely.
I mean, this is not, and that was just 4 years ago.
It also was almost nothing like what the game.
I'm aware of that, but that was the original pitch, and that was the influence. So if you're talking about specific space Western stuff, that's already there. That is my point.
Well, yeah. But I mean, it isn't the first thing, but it doesn't need to be the first. It just needs to be the thing that's the best right now. And right now, if people were talking about space western, there'd be The Mandalorian.
Hydro Cannon 58. Do you guys think time travel could be a good plot point for a Mass Effect game?
No, don't do time travel.
Time travel is a bomb. And if you don't hit it perfectly, people will lose their shit.
You can't hit it perfectly. Time travel is the only thing I think has ever done time travel well is the Time Machine.
Well,
like,
I mean, there are genres that are
Wells.
specifically time travel based, but Mass Effect's already had a bunch of games, so to change that into a time travel, I mean, people are already unhappy with undoing stuff. I think that's really dangerous.
You would need to have time travel be a concept from the beginning. Throwing in time travel later, like what Harry Potter did, like what Marvel, the MCU has done, just anything that has time travel, it just messes things up. Because then it opens up so many questions of, well, why didn't they do this? Or there's this time travel, why don't they do this? Or this or this? And it's like, it unravels too much.
I think at this point, what you're trying to do with this next Mass Effect game is focus it. And time travel might do the opposite of that. Does that make sense? I think if it was in a good enough spot, I think, like one of the ways to do a game, and it's not the best way, is for someone to attempt to do a time travel thing and kind of reset the universe. But I don't think anybody actually wants that. So that's why it's not a great... It could work. I think it's just so dangerous. Like the Mass Effect fan base right now is on edge already. This is too much.
So Mass Effect story starts turning into the Dark Souls story?
Dark Souls is a story?
Yeah. I mean, I don't know it that much. I've only played Dark Souls 3, but I finished it. But from my understanding of it is your character is going through killing all these characters, trying to get to the kings, so when they can be killed, so the world can be reset. Because as the world is collapsing and coming in and everything like that, it needs to be reset. And that is what your character does.
It's a little bit different in a fantasy
give their
setting.
Soul
because Mass Effect's very science-based, even more than other sci-fi stuff. Which is why it sounds like time travel would be a good thing, but time travel appears to be impossible. According to people who are smarter than me.
Well...
if Stephen Hawking says it's impossible, I'm down to believe him.
Well, I mean, yes. Part of the thing is that when time travel, the second it becomes invented, then time travel has been with us for the entirety of our just existence. Then, because the second it becomes available, that technology would be brought to the past, given to us, and then be able to improve upon. As soon as time travel is somehow figured out, then time travel will have been a permanent thing always.
Yeah, I'm of the opinion that, let's say you and I invent time travel a week from now. We'd have to become friends first, so this is not going to happen. But
no, we will. We'll pull a primer.
So we can
pull a primer.
This is already loose. But if then we go back in time to try to stop the Mass Effect 3 ending, we would not go back to the timeline we're in already. We would break off the point that when we go, and that would be a completely new timeline. That's how I think it would work. So
that's the MCU theory.
It's an older theory than that, but that way, it would not affect you right now at all, because when we go back, we would split off a point and we'd deal with another version of you that would have a different Mass Effect 3 ending, and then you'd blame us for not liking it, which is
probably.
All right, final question. Lieb83, it could be Lib83, but I'm going with Lieb, was into the Discord. What moment or scene brought you the most emotions from the Mass Effect games?
Morden's death. Just because
did it really
Morden
get to you?
Was like, well, I like.
Okay.
I mean,
well, yeah. I mean, it's your favorite character, and they die, right? I mean, that's big.
Well, I mean, honestly, Morden was the only character I really talked to, because again, it was the way that I play RPGs. So the first time I played the game, I didn't talk to that many people. And I realized how that changes the game. That's the reason why Rex died in my first playthrough of Mass Effect 1, because I didn't talk to him, so I didn't do the mission. And then Ashley ended up shooting him.
That was more of a... the mission matter, but you can get your spec into it or something like that. Whatever.
Can you do it on... I thought you couldn't do it on your first get-go. That your Paragon and Renegade wouldn't be high enough in that point.
It works differently in that game. It's not like you literally spec into it. So, which I actually like quite a bit. It's a lot like speccing into Persuasion.
After like every mission, Morden was the first person I talked to. Because I like how he talks.
Yeah.
He's very excited. I'm like, I relate.
You guys are a little bit similar. Not a compliment.
I think it is. I like to think it is. Morden is cool.
I always like. I'll go back to Ilos and walking around because they make a big deal of the Protheans and seeing like a ruined world like that. That one stuck with me. But there's a lot of them.
I feel like it was weird that Javik was behind DLC.
You know, we could get into Protheans again too. Like that was one version of Protheans, but Javik specifically said every alien race that came up and went into space, they were either declared Protheans and became Protheans, or they killed them. So there were. So
they were the Roman Empire.
What's that?
They were the Roman Empire.
I think they were a little bit worse than that.
Well, I mean, that's kind of what the Romans did.
Kind of, yeah.
You were with us. If you're not with us, we're killing you.
What they did eventually, I suppose. But yes, but
and I mean, they do take inspiration from history and stuff.
Oh yeah, that's one of the reasons Mass Effect works so good.
Yeah. Well, because part of it is that while it is our history, that's just what cultures do, and it's that kind of behavior is, it's universal. It's just what happens when there's multiple people and stuff living in an area. It's just how things react. I don't know. I think it's cool.
All right. To wrap up the show, and this show will be a little bit shorter. We're going to have inconsistent lengths.
Who were the people that came before?
To wrap up the show, Tucker, we've been over this, man. The obscure Mass Effect character of the week is Fortack, the Lord High Researcher.
Vortack?
Fortack.
Yeah,
Fortack. Drop quote.
I'm just curious. I'd heard a lot about the genius of Krogan science.
Oh, finally, someone understands. I swear I am among brainless pyjacks here, toiling among savages. I am the Lord High Researcher.
He's a Krogan scientist who's mad at Rex for making him, or I guess it depends on where you're in the game, but how I always did, he was mad at Rex for making him research crops and shit as opposed to blowing things up.
Well, I mean,
basically, I think the next 4 or 5 characters are all going to be from Tuchanka and Mass Effect 2.
Yeah, you enjoy them.
Yeah, I was going through that with you before the show. I'm like, damn it, that character's good. That character's good. Some guy wrote into accidentallycasual@gmail.com and suggested another guy who we will get to eventually.
Although I see the Tuchanka, because I'm seeing how it's spelled. Tuchanka is spelled differently in Mass Effect than it is in Rainbow Six Siege.
Because it's not the same thing.
Well, I mean, that's how words kind of work.
It's also a made up fictional planet in a space universe.
Yeah, but Tuchanka with an A instead of a U is the Russian word for like a cart that has a mounted gun on it.
That probably is the inspiration.
Yeah, well, I mean, the character in Siege had a mounted turret, so that.
Yeah,
but I mean, it being a Russian word and like a military one, something like that. I can see that being an inspiration for a Krogan word.
All right, so this has been episode number 23. Can you believe that?
You know, the movie The Number 23.
Oh my God, Tucker! Oh my God, I'm cutting you off. If you want us on Twitter, I'm at Minius Tucker's at Happy Tucker, and we're gonna be back next week. See ya.
Bye.
What's wrong with you, man? All right, Tucker, say hi.
Hello.
That's good. And suddenly my mic is spiking, and I tested this out before. That's annoying as shit.
So, like...
It does this every time.
You've worked in radio... Have you worked in radio, or do you currently work?
No. There's nothing to do in radio right now. I mean...
Really?
I mean, do you listen to radio? Do you have a radio?
That is honestly fair, but I thought that aren't there like Spotify, stuff like that? Don't they also do radio stations that get picked up? Like,
that's keeping them alive, is what it's doing.
Yeah. So doesn't that keep them going with it?
I mean, yes and no. It's not a lot of advertising in that, I think. But I'm not anywhere near as up on that shit as I used to be.
Well, I mean, do you think the radio business is dying out?
I mean, not really. I mean, if you're looking at specifically content that you're sent over the radio, then maybe. But audio content is going to be around for a long time. We're doing that right now, just in a video format.
And I am just kind of meaning that person that's sitting in that room with the, like, controlling a radio station that's playing music and all that kind of stuff.
It's just there's so much better ways to get music now, right?
Yeah.
There's, like, way better and fewer commercials, and you can, get exactly what you want as opposed to what they want you to hear.
That Elon Musk's brain chip thing...
I don't want fucking Elon Musk in my head like that, dude.
Part of the brain chip thing is that it can play Spotify. The purpose of it is
I don't need that in a chip. I don't need it in a chip, man. I just have speakers.
Cyberpunk.
They work fine. For it. Dude, given how buggy that Cyberpunk game is, man, what are you going to do with actual cyber hardware in your head that's buggy? Dude, that would fuck with you so much.
I feel like the Cyberpunk universe is a realistic depiction of where we are going.
All right, I'm going to start the show, but I'm going to tag that at the end.
I was wondering how long could get you going.
No, but because, we don't start until I start the show. So all that shit's not on. And there's going to be one or two people listening at the end of the podcast, and they're going to hear this, and they're like, oh my God.
Well, yeah, they'll look as
like,
the
wow,
things
they're
like
still
dipping out.
Going. They won't shut up. It's true.
Yeah, as the thing's dipping out, it will be like, oh wait, why is there 2 extra minutes here? You
are listening to Accidentally Casual.